Assalamu alaikum student. Hope you all are fine. Today we discuss the topic of the wave, that is the characteristic wave parameter. To understand wave properly, we must know the quantities that describe them. These quantities are called the characteristic wave parameter. Think of a wave as a person, just as when we describe any person by height, weight, and age, we describe the wave by a wavelength, wavefront, crust, trough, displacement, amplitude, time period, and frequency. These are the wave characteristic wave parameter. We use these characteristic wave parameter to define the wave. Now we discuss about the wavelength. What is the wavelength? Wavelength is the shortest distance between two identical points on the consecutive wave is called the wavelength. Here we take the two waves. Wavelength is the distance between the two consecutive points on the wave. Two consecutive points mean two points that are on the same position. This distance between the 2 points is known as the lambda. Similarly, if we take the point on the down position of the wave, here is the 2 point. One point we take here, another point we take here. Distance between these two consecutive points is known as the lambda. Consecutive point mean that point that are at the same position. So distance between the two identical points on the consecutive wave is called the wavelength. Here we write the definition of the wavelength. What is the wavelength? That is the shortest distance between two identical points on consecutive wave is called the wavelength. Symbol of the wavelength is lambda, and the unit of the wavelength is meter, and it is denoted by n. That is all about to discuss about the wavelength lambda. Okay, here is learn about the one more important point of the wavelength is that is the wave pattern repeat after one wavelength. Here is we draw the wave. So here the distance between two identical points is lambda. So wave is repeat after that distance wavelength lambda. Is first the point that is goes down, then it goes up. After that the wave goes down and the goes up. So it repeat itself after the one wavelength. So the wave pattern repeat after one wavelength. So here we write that. The wave pattern repeat after one wavelength. So that is all about the wavelength. One more point we discuss about the long wavelength and short wavelength. What is the long wavelength and short wavelength? When the distance between the crust and trough is large, that represent the long wavelength. Here we draw the wave. If the distance between the 2 points, same points on the wave is large, so its wavelength is large. The distance between the 2 points is large. Waves are spread out. That shows here we show that the long wavelength of the wave. When the waves are spread out, the distance between the two crust and the two trough is large. The highest point is known as the crust and the lowest point is known as the trough. So here we now discuss the short wavelength. Now we discuss about the short wavelength. What is the short wavelength? If the distance between the two same point of the wave is short, smaller, so that represent the shorter wavelength of the wave. So here when the crust and trough are too close, they represent the short wavelength. Hope you understand the concept of the wavelength and long wavelength and short wavelength. Here we also discuss about the crust and trough. I forget to tell you about the crust and trough point on the transverse wave. These waves we draw that are the crust, that are the transverse wave. There are the 2 points on the transverse state, that is the crust and trough. First we discuss the crust. Crust, that is the highest point of a transverse wave, is called the crust. So here is the highest point of the wave. This point is known as the crust of the transverse wave. So in short form we can write that crust, that is the higher point. Trough, what is the trough on the transverse wave? On the transverse, and trough, that is the lower point on the transverse wave. That is all about today. We discuss about the characteristics of the wave parameter. First characteristic we discuss here, that is the wavelength.